Day 58 of rereading my Bible, and I read 1 Samuel 1. So there's a man from Ephraim who is named Elkanah, and he has two wives, Hannah and Peninnah. I don't know why all their names rhyme. It must have been a thing at that time. His first wife was Hannah, and even though she was his first wife, she didn't have any children. She was barren. And his second wife, Peninnah, had all the children, just a lot of children. When he would go up to Shiloh and make his sacrifice, and then he would eat the portion of the sacrificed meat, he would give a double portion to Hannah. And Peninnah was jealous of this, and she would find ways to mock Hannah for her barrenness. So Hannah just kept praying and praying and praying for a child. In fact, she would be praying over and over again, and she wouldn't be making sound, just her lips would be moving. And her husband saw that and was like, "Are you drunk or something? Can you stop being drunk?" And she's like, "I'm not drunk, I'm just pouring out my heart to God." And after praying at Shiloh, they go home, and she finally gets pregnant. And she names the boy Samuel. And when he's old enough, I guess he's like 3, she takes him to Shiloh on their yearly trip. And she tells the priest Eli, because God gave this child to me, I'm going to dedicate him to the Lord. That leads to the larger story of Samuel and who Samuel is, and where we go from there. But I noticed 2 things just in this first chapter, 2 themes that God uses over and over again already in the Old Testament, and that is this whole idea of 2 wives and the idea of barrenness. And I'm starting to pick up on patterns, and the patterns I'm seeing with the 2 wives is that usually one of them depicts Israel and one of them depicts the church. One of them depicts the Old Covenant and one depicts the New Covenant. And here you have his second wife, who was immediately fruitful, fulfilled all the duties and expectations of her wife, while Hannah was barren and her fruit didn't come until later. And another thing that he uses, a symbolism or even a propheticism, is barrenness. We saw that with Sarah. We saw that with Leah and Rachel. We're seeing it again here. And then he uses it a lot in the New Testament too. When someone is barren and then they finally end up having a child, but it's outside the natural timing. And it symbolizes the Messiah coming in God's timing, and that we cannot force our own salvation in our own timing.